Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here again with a weekly devotional for you this Wednesday. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to start with a reading from Sarah Arthur's 1 Year Daily Grind. And the subject for the next couple of weeks is going to be creation. So Sarah writes, I'm re-exploring the first chapter of Genesis, and I've noticed a curious little phrase at the end of each section, which gets lost in some translations, that goes something like this. There was evening and there was morning, the first day, the second day, the third day, etc. The ancient Hebrews marked time in this way. Each 24-hour period begins at sundown and ends at the next sundown. So now I wonder, instead of starting a new creative spurt as the sun rose, what if God began work at sunset and continued all night long hammering away at the planet until something new and astonishing appeared with the rising of the sun? It reminds me of those massive thunderstorms that roll across the James River at night when I'm trying to sleep. First, I hear the wind rising in the trees, slapping branches against the side of the house. Then thunder rumbles in the distance. Soon I hunker down as lightning dances in the sky like a strobe and thunder shakes the ground. I cover my ears and hide my face as the wind roars through the trees, hoping nothing really bad happens to the house or the car. The electricity usually goes out. In time, the storm passes and I eventually fall asleep again, only to wake to a new world. Lines and trees are down. The neighbor's lawn furniture is in our yard, tumbled like clothes in the washer. Shingles from somebody's roof are scattered all over the street. I spend half the morning cleaning up, wondering if yet another storm will jumble everything again tonight. In the end, I breathe a sigh of relief when the season of summer storms passes, and I can sleep soundly again. So when the 6 days of creation were over, maybe it wasn't just God who rested, but the exhausted earth itself. Shocked and raw and trembling, the planet perhaps needed a break from the fire and bellows, from the continual smash of God's creative power on the anvil. Perhaps the seventh day was the first foreshadowing of grace. Saints, I don't know why that image of God pulling all-nighters working to create really grabbed my imagination for some reason. I thought that was such an interesting twist on how we might often picture creation happening during the daytime, and then nighttime comes and everything rests and then we go back to it. But the idea that creation was this process that kind of comes to light in the dawn of a new morning, that's just interesting. It tickled my brain. Maybe it will yours too. But the other side of what she brought up in this devotional was the thought that maybe creation needs rest just as much as human beings do. Maybe the creation needs Sabbath just as much as we do. And it's interesting when you think about how creation works, that really does make sense. In other places in the Old Testament, there's the concept of the Sabbath year. And this isn't just something that pertains to people, but it also pertains to fields, to crops, to how farmers would let the ground lie fallow in the seventh year in order to give it a rest, so that it could be more productive again once they replanted and reharvested in the following year. I really was stunned by this. During the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, I read that when people were not driving, like at all, the air quality that we experienced in cities improved as much as, rolling the clock back 50 years because of just the rest that the air that the planet was getting from not having that constant car exhaust pumped into it. Have you ever thought about how creation needs rest, just like we do? What is it that we might be able to do in order to give creation that rest, to give our planet a little bit of a break and a breather? I know that human progress seems to depend on strip mining and using things up and just taking advantage of every resource that we've got. But perhaps the reality is that the planet needs a break just as much as we do. Saints, that's your devotional this week. Hope it's something worth thinking about. Hope you're doing well and staying healthy. And I'll be praying for you. Hope you'll keep praying for me. And I'll see you all again soon. Take care.